record.
Why do I have echo?
You have echo?
A little bit.
What kind of echo?
I just hear myself chipping in and out.
How about the rest of you?
I don't hear anything.
This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Lenovo. See more at Lenovo.com.
Well, a belated welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is finally episode 403. Ryan is hiding in an undisclosed location, probably shaking his head at what we have just done to his poor show. And as for the rest of us, I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Allyn Malventano, like the guy behind the curtain in Wizard of Oz.
And I'm Sebastian Peak.
And this is what we're going to make of this week on the PC Perspective Podcast. If you're on our mailing list, you've probably been sitting here very quietly and happily waiting for 45 minutes for us to start off. Or if you're one of our audio listeners that's watching us or listening to us the next day, you got to miss the whole kerfuffle that we had. That it's fixed now. We are all good. But if you've got any feedback and you want to make fun of people that might or might not have been involved in the problems, you can reach us at podcast at pcper.com. And by now, most of you probably know our Twitter feeds. So you feel free to do whatever it is that you would like. On the other hand, if you didn't, you can subscribe to the podcast PC mailing list, which you just saw Al put up there, where we will send you one reminder a week and not beg for your credit cards. That's probably not the email that you should answer, but if you do, definitely forward it on to the rest of us just so that we can verify it. And other than that, it's week something of our... How long have we been on Patreon now?
It's been a while.
When did you get back from CES? Because that was about what it was.
Yeah, that would have been like January-ish, right?
So it's... we're working to try and bring you the best technology news that you can without turning into complete and total shills like the commenters might have you believe that we are. And so we've started this Patreon page. There's goals that we're trying to reach, which will reward all of our viewers and listeners. But at the same time, as you pledge, there are certain little rewards that you can pick up to and including a chance to access our show notes and the pre-show, which is even more gripping than the pre-show that you didn't get to watch today.
Especially this week.
Yes. So if you want to see more of this, or, don't want us to slowly increase the delay it takes before we get the show started, consider giving us a little bit of your money on the Patreon page. It's just a couple of pennies a month, whatever you'd like to give us. And if you do it during the show, Ryan technically has to at least read them out loud to whoever he is around. Generally, that would be the stream, but in this case, hopefully it's someone really embarrassing. Make sure you pick a very good username. But since we are a little bit late starting into this, I would like to zip right along into our reviews and give Sebastian a chance to show off his wonderful photography as he talks to you about the Fractal design-defined Nano S Mini-ITX.
Look at that photography.
That is my actual living room.
Look at it. Yeah.
So the Define S was a case that I reviewed, I think it was a year ago, and it was a really simple, very wide open case. They lost all of the storage, like the optical storage from the front. So you open it up and you've got just this huge empty area, and storage and everything was behind the rear panel. And with the Define Nano S, it's literally just a Mini-ITX version of that same case. And the only thing I'm really missing here is I should have done a comparison shot with the two. I can add that, but essentially this is just a smaller version. It's really the size of a Mini-ITX case, or I'm sorry, a micro ATX case. But because of this, you have a little bit more room for cooling. You have plenty of clearance on the top and in the front for those 240 millimeter radiators, and room for full-length graphics cards, ATX power supplies. And if you like the understated appearance, this is for you. One thing I'll point out, since we're scrolling by, This is one of the few cases I've seen that actually lets you take the air filter out from the front.
Ryan would be so happy.
Yes.
That's very nice.
I feel like this was inspired by Ryan.
Probably.
It's to do it. They have the air filter run the length of the bottom of it, and you can pull it out from the front. So that's nice.
Yeah, and it's a
And-
good thing you can pull it out because with the intake being at the very bottom, you're guaranteed to get all of the dust.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Mostly it's going to be from the PSU drawing it in, but you'll certainly get it in there. And this is a fully insulated case too, just like the Nano or the Define S was. The Nano has the lining. It's like a cloth-like dense lining on the inside of the front panel and the side panel.
It's like Dynamat.
Yeah, and it does reduce noise. The only drawback to this is that you might get a little bit of added heat buildup inside. You have a trade-off between a little bit of noise reduction versus temperatures with like the top vents, which are removable. You can remove all three of them or just a couple of them depending on what you're doing with the top fan intakes. I didn't use them. For noise testing, I like to keep the case as close to out of the box as I can, so I just use a 120 millimeter radiator in the back. But you have a lot of options. For storage, you can mount a couple of hard drives in the back, SSDs behind the motherboard tray. Then you have another hard drive mount on the floor of the case. But I really, really like the layout if you're looking at the back of the case because you've got those nice Velcro ties and there is a depression. It's kind of hard to see from the head-on shop. There's a nice concave area that helps you push some of your thicker cable mess, especially from the power supply, flat against the back of the case and then tie it down so you don't have to worry about the side panel bulging.
Yeah, cool.
The first picture on the next page actually shows that because the motherboard is installed down in this sort of depression. And so off to the side of that is where the hard drives would be on the back side of the motherboard tray.
That's interesting.
And it just kind of maximizes space. I mean, this is a little bit wider for a Mini-ITX case, but the benefit of that is that you have room for bigger tower air coolers if you wanted to go that route, and it gives you a lot of clearance for cable routing behind the motherboard tray. So if you look through the review, you'll see pictures, different fitting options, the radiator on top and in the front, hard drive and SSD mounting options. And then I just ran it through the standard test suite that I've come up with where I use an air cooler and a liquid cooler. And I run all the benchmarks on the CPU and GPU with both options. And you can kind of see how the airflow changes when you go from air to liquid because there's a lot less air moving around with the liquid cooler, at least around the GPU, which does make a big difference in every one of the small cases I've done. The air cooler on a CPU, especially one that blows down like the low profile air coolers, actually help generate a little bit of cool air against the back of the GPU, which helps. They usually run a few degrees cooler that way. But the results with this case were good. They were some of the best that I've done with a small case with the liquid cooler by far. And it's kind of following in the footsteps of the original Define S, where it was very quiet and had good cooling performance. And this one kind of follows suit. The only possible negative was going to be, just as with the Fantex, the Mini-ITX Fantex and through that I did recently, these cases, if you use a full ATX power supply, it's really close to the GPU. This one wasn't quite as close. And it only covers like one half of the GPU.
What graphics card do you use again?
That is a XFX R9 290X double dissipation edition. So it's a 2-fan custom cooler.
And it looked like it was...
Which is a fair size.
What was it getting close to in one of those other pictures? Because there's more of a gap there.
Yeah, when I put the radiator on the front fan mounts, I had a Corsair, the H100i, with the fans. That was getting really close to the edge of my graphics card. This one's a little bit longer. The cooler extends like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch past the PCB. So this is a fairly long card. but there was still room for it with a rad on the front. There's a little bit of a gap, I'd say about a quarter inch or so between the bottom of this particular dual slot GPU and the top of the ATX power supply. It was enough for airflow. It won't be an issue at all with blower style coolers. And with this one, I didn't think it was an issue because one half of the card's completely open to air and the other half of it at least had room to breathe. Temps were not bad, and they were I didn't have any like extra fan speed or noise to contend with.
So
I
after
didn't
you
deem
reviewed
an
it,
issue.
did you put it in an industrial hydraulic press and make a video?
Unfortunately, no.
How about glowing nickel metal balls?
I don't know where you're going with this, but no.
You haven't watched those two YouTube channels there, Sebastian?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's two YouTube channels. One's dedicated to the first thing he said, and the other one's dedicated to the second thing.
Channels, not just videos?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And occasionally they crush a molten metal ball.
Wonderful.
Yeah. The really impressive one is whenever they try to crush a billiard ball, because those things just
explode.
they explode.
Is this like the will it blend stuff?
Pretty much.
Kinda? Yeah.
Okay.
Except it takes it to another level. But anyway, what are your closing
Thoughts
impressions?
are, and I honestly didn't know how much this cost when I started doing the review,
that's the
because
question.
these cases sit around and I finally get to them and I crack them open and I start the review. So I looked it up on Amazon. I looked it up on Newegg, and this is a $69 case. So
What?
the full size Define S is like an $89 or $99 case, and this thing is $69 full price. So because of the build quality, which is extremely high, the good performance, and the fact that it's only $69, they give it the editor's choice. It's a very, very good case for this kind of money. Mini-ITX is a little bit more expensive, of course, because the motherboards tend to be more. It's a little bit more of a specialty thing, but this is a really good foundation for a Mini-ITX build with full-size components and a lot of cooling options. So I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, and with the way that like modern systems tend to kind of set power, I doubt that power supply is going to be throwing out a lot of heat into the intake of the GPU, into the one half of the side, because that's what that other fan, the fan on the power supply would be pointing up, right?
Down.
Well, do you have an option? Can you flip it?
No, I wouldn't, because the air intake for the PSU is on the bottom of the case.
Yeah, so it's not going to blow any hot air into the case.
No, it's going to
But it is
suck
going to radiate some air.
cool air
and
from the
it's gonna-
bottom, and it's going to exhaust it out the back. So unless it's
okay.
radiating off the top of the PSU, it's not really going to be an issue. The issue is going to be clearance for airflow, but I didn't. It's definitely warmer to run my GPU inside of this or any other Mini-ITX case I've tested so far than it is to run it inside of a full ATX case.
Yeah.
But we're talking a few degrees. It's still way under, like this GPU at load is always under 80C. Like ambient temps, I take out of that so you get the deltas. But delta with this thing, with the air cooler, if I look at my chart here, was 60 degrees. So it was running under 80 in the room. I think the room was like 18C. So not bad. I mean, if you can run a GPU at load, and I run multiple runs of Unigine Valley 1.0 to get consistent speeds, I wait until it kind of tops out, and it was topping out under 80 in this case. So that's not bad at all.
Before we get too comfortable talking about the case, we should probably find out what Al does when he's sitting on his couch.
Yeah, we could do that.
So is this Couchmaster revision 2?
It kind of is. We were surprisingly impressed with this thing, actually. It was good enough that I wrote the article about it on it.
Because you're right-handed.
What? Never mind. So yeah, Corsair Lapdog is the name of the thing. And basically it is like kind of Couchmaster revision 2, except you don't have the huge pads like that were like Ryan reviewed the Couchmaster. It was basically there's a couple of huge pads that you kind of stuck on either side of you. So your couch had to be relatively flat for those, kind of blocks of foam to kind of sit properly. and then you put basically a table on top of that, and the table had like a USB hub built in and stuff like that. This one relies on your actual lap. It's a thing that sits on your lap, complete with a foam pad on the bottom that's kind of has like it's just shaped in such a way where it just would naturally kind of rest on your lap. And it's the cool thing about this is where the Couchmaster was kind of like a one-size-fits-all, just put your keyboard and your mouse on it kind of thing. This is much more designed to fit specific keyboards so that they look seamless. When you have this thing all put together with Corsair, either K70 or K65, whichever type you want, RGB or not RGB or whatnot, you can put either one of those keyboard models in there, and it really does look like it was just meant to be. You have the same anodized brushed aluminum kind of finish on the top plate and the bottom plate that kind of surrounds the keyboard. Even on the four corners of the mouse pad there, same kind of deal. There is a plate that comes pre-installed on it. You can kind of see it there. But if I go a little bit to the next one right here, that plate comes pre-installed in case you do have a K65 and you don't have a number pad. So then you still have brushed anodized aluminum to match everything else, just to take up the extra space. If you're going to get something like this, it's $120. I would imagine a person that's going to put a keyboard and a high-end mouse in this thing is probably going to have the K70 style keyboard, I would guess. So you just take one screw off and then that plate just pops out. And you just kind of like, I don't know, you just have to store it somewhere. Probably never going to use it. You don't have to have any tools because there's a Allen key driver, that thing that's kind of like built into the plastic top portion
that's nice.
of the pad. Yeah, there's just a little indentation in it. Holds that driver right there. The pad, there are 6 magnets on the bottom of the Lapdog itself, and then there's, I guess, 6 kind of metal plates installed into the mating surface on the pad. So if you want, you can use the pad or not. Like, you can just kind of like pull it off the bottom. Sticks pretty good. I think they're neodymium magnets.
It'd be good for storing lobsters as well.
Sure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to use the pad. You can just sit that, main plastic Lapdog housing. Like, you can just set that on your coffee table if you want to sit on the floor or something like that, maybe. It's up to you. There's a USB 3 hub built in. It kind of sits just below where the mouse pad is, which you can pull the mouse pad off as well when you're doing the install. So you basically got a 4-port USB hub built in, powered. The 2 internal ports are for your keyboard and your mouse, obviously, and then you have 2 more. You can put a jump drive in there if you have a USB gaming headset or something. You can plug it in right there. You don't have to worry about running the cord all the way to your living room PC, right? And the cord, if I switch to, actually, you can even tell there. The cord is like a built-in, like mated USB plus power. So there is a power brick that plugs in like on the other end where the PC would be. And it just runs the power and the USB 3 from your system out a 16-foot cord that goes to the back of the Lapdog itself. So it's, you don't have a bunch of cords kind of floating around. You just have a single running to this thing, and then you can kind of fan out with that hub to whatever else you want to have hooked up. It is still kind of a cumbersome thing because, it's still corded. A lot of people prefer wireless, but if you want something like this and you want to do Twitch gaming, you need low latency. Most of the wireless, like Bluetooth style things, are not low latency. And you can't really have like lit up keyboards and mice and stuff like that because those require power. And I mean, I guess that might be the next step. You could make something like this with a wireless USB kind of like low latency setup if it was available, and you could put some kind of battery pack in the thing, but now you're trying to mess with charging and it just kind of spirals out of control.
That'll be the Void series.
Sure, could be. But as it is, I mean, it looks like something usable. It's up to you if you're okay with that cord running down your living room while you have the thing on your lap. But if you're into gaming enough to where you want to sit on your couch and do like first-person shooter Twitch stuff where you actually want a full keyboard and a mouse right in front of you as opposed to a game controller, then you're probably okay with that one cord, I would guess. But But like I said, 120 bucks. They also sell it bundled with various keyboards on the Corsair site. If you look at it there, they have like, K65, K70s. I'm not sure they include mice in the packages, but there's so many different mice, it probably would spiral out of control on the possibilities there. Yeah, and that's about it. We put a video up on this one recently, which I think Ryan added to the article. Yes. Corsair on your lap. Dog.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sweet.
Is this video safe for work?
Should be safe for work,
Okay.
I
As long
guess.
as you got something
What?
over your lap while you're sitting on the couch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But-
That should increase the wife acceptance factor.
Yes. But speaking of things that don't go on your lap,
Yeah.
Lee has just put out another review, this time of the Corsair SF series 600 watt power supply. Now, the SF series has two key factors going for it. One is that they're small form factor. That, if you scroll down, you can see it next to a full-sized ATX PSU, and as you notice, it is significantly smaller. But as they say, size is not everything. The other thing is that cute little 92 centimeter fan doesn't kick on until the PSU's over 50% load or so. It's designed to be incredibly quiet, so you're looking at small form factor PCs, which are sitting somewhere you just don't want them making noise. Now, the one nice thing about Corsair's ones so far is that they have been incredibly efficient, 80 plus gold at the very least, nice flat style cables, and a 7-year warranty. Glad to say that Corsair did not skimp out on that on this model at all. It is incredibly solid. It's got a single 12-volt rail design, which we prefer for a variety of reasons. And this one is quite happy of providing its entire load at 50 amps on that 12-volt rail. Lee went through, and when he tortures PSUs, he tortures PSUs. And this one passed everything with flying colors. He gave it a gold award. He couldn't upset it. The only problem is the pricing, because of the way that it's designed and the small form factor and just the sheer quality of the components that go into it. You're looking at 90 bucks for the 450 watt model, and the one that he reviewed, the 600 watt, is 120. It's a little bit more expensive than comparable PSUs. It's not ridiculously more expensive when you're just talking about the SFX PSUs. If you're talking about regular full ATX, then please don't pay $120 for a 600 watt PSU.
I was gonna say that's pretty comparable to like for full modular and SFX. The Silverstone that I had, kind of the go-to for a while, was the Silverstone.
110-ish?
Yeah, it was I think 100 on sale when I bought it, but like 110, 120, and I think you can find them for 89 now. But so to get 450 for around 90 bucks, and it comes with those modular ribbon style cables, is about where SFX has been for gold certified.
It's quite
It's not-
decent, and for that case that you were just building in.
Oh yeah, especially
for it.
I know you can easily get SFX to ATX adapters. Some of them come with the adapter in the box, but it gives you a lot more flexibility on those small cases for sure.
All right, so this 1x2, I guess that means it has a pair of 6 plus 2 pin PCIe power connectors? Okay.
Yeah, the small ones
Sure,
usually
not
have
necessarily
one.
as long as you're used to, but
Right,
400
right.
millimeters is not ridiculous.
Well, you're probably going to be putting it in a pretty small case, I would imagine. Actually, Sebastian, would this is there a different backplate that would let you put this into that fractal case?
That's
you
what I
were
was just
looking
saying. You can get the back plates.
Okay,
One
so
of
you-
the cases I reviewed came with the back plate. Some of the PSUs I think do.
at? I don't see it with
Okay,
this
that one might not.
so I'm not sure if it comes with this one. But
There's
interesting
definitely,
point.
because they're standardized, you could get an ATX to SFX plate and just use it.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're doing a small form factor system, and I mean, 600 watts should be enough for at least for like a 1080. And,
Especially now, yeah. With things going down to 14, 16 nanometer. I did a post recently on a different SFX power supply, and they're up to 800 watts now. With, I believe that one was titanium certified. And it's just, at that point, you don't even, I mean, you could run a dual GPU system at 800, 850 watts.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, SFX, you're probably going to be using it with a Mini-ITX board. So you're pretty much using a single GPU, but still.
Huh. All right. What do we got next?
Well, I'll start this out, but I'm sure that there's a couple of other people that might have some comments. And I will even start it out backwards by saying that the fact that 3-way and 4-way SLI is not going to be a thing for Pascal gamers didn't surprise me. What surprised me was NVIDIA saying, oh no, there'll be this enthusiast key you can download to unlock the mode. And that just struck me as, okay, that's just weird. Like, you said behind the scenes it wasn't going to be a thing. Now you're sort of backpedaling, and today Ryan found out that, yes, this is not a thing for gamers in SLI.
Yep, it's more of a backpedal, even. So, yeah, we're going to be enthusiast
If you want to
keys.
benchmark,
Yeah.
you can benchmark with it.
Yep. It'll so yeah, good news, no more enthusiast key. Bad news, you can only do 3 and 4-way for the purposes of like 3D Mark and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Like for benchmarks.
Or if you want to be utterly insane, the DX12 games where the developers have actually programmed it to grab different GPUs over the PCIe bus, it will work. Ryan tried it with Ashes of Singularity and it seemed to work. But buying an extra $2,000+ worth of GPU for those couple of times.
But look at the Luxmark scores.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no, you're
yeah,
benchmarking.
Luxmark was great. But, you know.
Yeah, I honestly, the idea of a key, I instantly thought of Intel years ago where they had a key to unlock one
Buy that little
processor
gift
into
card,
another.
Unlock.
Parts of your processor that you bought already. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just,
Oh yeah.
I was just like, no, this is a terrible idea. I'm glad they backtracked on that, but
Wasn't that thing like cracked almost immediately or something?
I want to
yeah.
say it was,
It was.
but
yeah. It's just like that's
I
not
just think
something you want to
there's
dip your
not-
toe in.
yeah, the benefits, obviously it's a significantly diminishing returns past SLI, and then from 3 to 4 is even less. But it's
Well,
it's
and
been a
the
thing
amount of
for a long
programming
time.
that
It
goes
was
into
very
making it
driver
work.
dependent.
Right? Like the amount of programming that goes into making that actually work versus the fraction of a percentage of people that actually do this.
Yeah, I mean, it might be more possible with DirectX 12 stuff, but again, the game has to be programmed to be able to support it. I mean, it's possible that somebody's particular game engine might just naturally be able to scale 3 and 4 GPUs, and maybe that could take advantage of it, but
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to optimize their time in development, and there's just no reason to program that for people who buy 3 and 4 cards, which is it's less than 0.5% of all GPUs out there. So why spend hundreds of developing hours in drivers and applications to do that? And they just don't see the trade-off, and I think that's perfectly fine.
yep. A buddy of mine built like his own personal system as a 3-way SLI system back in like 780 Ti's or something. And I mean, he couldn't stand it. Like, he would just have these random issues and stuff with it. He was like constantly, random games just weren't doing the right thing, and it was just a pain in the butt. And that's back when it was supported. So, yeah, it's, probably just better to go with a 2-way SLI at most. And honestly, with a 1080, it's a lot of use cases for just having one and not needing the second one. Given the performance so far, especially since there might be a 1080 Ti later, right? Even higher performance.
Here's what you do. You get 3 1080s. You run 2 of them in SLI, and then use the third one for a PhysX card.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I mean, that's so inexpensive for $2,100 worth of cards.
But anybody looking in your side panel window sees the 3 GPUs. You're like, oh yeah, they're all 3 running right now. They're running this game.
Oh, yeah.
Batman's cape is running on number 3 down there.
Yeah.
Or in Scott's case, you can be running Blender on that 1080p.
Scott needs 3 video cards just to support the plethora of monitors surrounding him.
Yeah.
But don't feel too bad about only having 2-way SOI, because you can get some sexy bridges.
Sexy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can totally do that.
Sexy bridges from EVGA.
At least these look pretty nice as compared to their ACX3, which I think just kind of looks goofy. But
So
these I like. They're minimalist.
Are these things actually shipping? Like,
If you click the link below those, because that's actually NVIDIA's SLI connector on that picture,
Right.
not
Yeah.
EVGAs.
I got EVGAs in a different post.
I'm looking. Actually,
Yeah,
the EVGA.
EVGAs are a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if they're cooler looking.
They're
They're
light up.
different looking.
Okay, so they look like this.
Oh, those aren't too bad.
And they are a darker anodized aluminum version of this.
I don't feel special. Jacob sent those pictures to them too. Jeez.
So this is I think it's an LED
Yeah.
4-way. Yeah, it's the old school.
Wow.
Does
Old
it
school
support
4-way.
1080 megahertz transfer speeds?
1080? No.
For the audio listeners, Alan just held up something that looks like an unfinished model kit for a DeLorean.
No, it's. I think they're trying to match their new style, design on their new cards. Because I'm pretty sure the EVGA logo lights up on this bridge, but it looks it's like they're going for like a transformer kind of look or something.
Hey, it wouldn't be 2016 without LED lighting adorning everything.
Have People Day explosions on it too?
All right, so I'm looking for availability. I'm guessing soon.
Yeah.
They will be sold separately. Yes, of course. It's almost like they're downplaying even the even the SLI in general or something. Although, as long as you're not doing surround or have higher than, I think, 144 hertz, 25 by 16, you can actually get away with the old bridge, I'm pretty sure. Even just a single ribbon, I think, carries enough bandwidth to be able to do, up to that resolution. Yeah, and I think it also supports 4K 60, but just a single display. It's when you start going crazy with your displays or your resolution or your refresh rate that potentially you run out of bandwidth for the old bridge and you want the newer one. But I think those are how the limits actually work right now. Even if you look at that chart that Tap put up when he was doing his presentation here, I think you can deduce that from there. All right, what do we got next?
I don't know. You're not scrolling down.
Oh, I missed the thing.
I missed the thing.
All right.
But on to the next thing anyways.
Yeah, MSI GTX 270s.
Yeah.
1070s.
70s.
Look at all those puppies.
Yep.
Did they release?
They have a
like
Founders
4?
Edition. We've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
But that red one. Whoa.
The gamer.
That's the gamer.
You can find that on Amazon for pre-order for $1,000.80. No, 1080. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, that one's good. It goes like its boost clock at overclock is 1807, but it's got a silent mode on it where it drops it back down to 1500, and in theory, will be silent. It's good for your sort of multi-purpose and colorful gamer. The 1070 Aero comes in 2 different flavors. One is just the base cooler, which I cannot remember the name of their fancy cooler for it at the moment.
Twin Frozer.
Yes, thank you. The Twin Frozer. They look, of course, exactly the same. One is overclocked. One, obviously, is not.
It's not Twin Frozer because it only has one fan.
No, it's got to be. Yeah, it's a different name that I wrote somewhere and can't spot immediately for the life of me. But the nifty one is the last one, which is the Seahawk X, which comes with a built-in radiator. It sort of looks like an AMD card in a little way, but
Where is that guy?
You'd think that one would have a higher base boost clock speed, since
and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It matches the gaming.
And it probably does. It still also just have a single 8-pin. Trying to see if that's in the chart.
Yeah, I think it all is. Wait,
Yeah,
no,
they all do.
no, the 6-pin and 8 for the gaming.
6-pin and 8 for the one with the silent mode. That's interesting.
It just turns that 6-pin off.
For maximum
so-
flexibility.
So we haven't seen firsthand like what that extra 6-pin gets you as far as like when we were playing around with overclocking on the initial like 1080 Founders, you can crank the fan up all the way and don't worry, not even get close to the thermal thing being an issue if you're willing to have like a hairdryer going next to you. But we were basically just cranking everything up, and then when you do that, it rides the power limit. So, you kind of need more juice.
Yeah, extra 6-pin will give you 75 watts.
It will, but will the card use it is the thing. Like, will NVIDIA even allow it to go higher than X amount of watts additional going straight to the GPU, like, without frying it? Because
is there an official number on the, what is the power limit? Like, is it 120%? Is it 110%?
I think it depends on the software and the card. Because I've heard anywhere from 120 down to 109.
That would be interesting. If you could go 120% on a 1070 and overclock it to, 2 gigahertz and still have good temps, that might be the card.
Yeah, I think you can still go to 120, but the problem is it's 120 of a lower number.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's, yeah. All right.
Next up is your obsession.
Why is that my obsession?
You're the one who's told us all about this game.
No. We got the 1080 fanfics.
We're not there yet.
Are we not there yet? I skipped one.
No. Don't get ahead of me.
Oh, the Mirror's Edge thingy.
Mirror's Edge did that cause that problem?
Well, there's a new driver out.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA on the forums had posted, yes, we've been able to recreate this fan revving issue with the 1080s Founders Edition cards. And so they then updated that with a sticky on the post and said that, yes, this fix is actually going to be coming in software. It's going to be in the next driver release. So when the Mirror's Edge driver came out, there's your 1080 fan revving fix, according to NVIDIA.
Okay. I saw a driver.
And an extra half gig of memory.
I saw a driver come out like today or something. Maybe that thing came out, or it's.
I know they just came out with a driver a couple of days ago, or maybe
It's
yesterday.
like yesterday.
Yeah, I think yesterday.
So that was this fix, supposedly?
Yeah, and I don't have a 1080, and I haven't investigated reports to see if the issue is gone, but apparently the cards were going from like 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs, back and forth, up and down, and this will smooth that out.
Oh, so it was just like a bistable issue.
Yeah, my guess is, having edited fan profiles several times myself, you have these situations where there's a step, like it goes straight from 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000, and you might go from 49 degrees to 50, and it jumps, and then when it jumps, it cools it, so then it goes down to 1,000 RPMs again, and then the card heats up a little bit more, and it jumps to the next step again. So I always smooth my fan profile out, so it's a nice. I start 20% at 20 degrees Celsius and just move it straight up to 100 at 100. So I never hear those steps. It's kind of like a gear shift. So that's just my guess. Wild postulating here, but
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so next up is this.
Your puzzle game.
Wit.nes, huh? I saw you guys talk about this in the chat earlier. But actually, I haven't even fired this thing up in a few weeks.
All you need is an NES now.
Well, yeah. Is it actually like... So it's an NES-coded game to run an NES emulator? That's Witness?
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
so just like the top-down version.
Is there a video with this link? I don't see a video. Surely there's a video.
Stop calling me Shirley.
No, I don't see video. I'd really like to know what this looks like other than the 8-bit style screenshots. on the right side there. Although those are pretty epic though. I like how when the thing is enabled, it's like that's pretty awesome actually. What is that? Oh, I recognize that part of the game. That's pretty funny. Oh my god. Yeah, it's totally 2D-ish. But that's pretty cool. Huh.
Is this like a free download?
I guess. I mean, I don't think he did. Did he do the? I don't know if he did the whole game. Because he's calling it a demo.
Oh, okay.
Well, you have to.
So get JNES, download this, check it out.
So it's 32 puzzles and 16 full screens of maps. And an overhead world with 4-way scrolling. Wow. 4-way scrolling in an NES game. Dude, that's
something else.
That's actually difficult to do in NES. So
All directions.
all the directions. You can get all the directions. All right. Well, enough of that silliness. I might have to check
Okay.
that out though.
But I mean, if you were going to run it on a laptop, you'd want
What?
like a GP 104 graphics card in that laptop that was running this NES emulation, right?
Really?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever tried to emulate an NES game, Alan? It is taxing.
Yeah. No, I get it. Especially if you want your emulator to like simulate the Trinitron aperture grid on your display, and you need all those high-end 3D filters and stuff going on. Huh.
And if you get the puzzle wrong, it'll be punished by a blast of heat to your lap.
So, what is this full-blown 980? Not 980M? What is it?
It's
Or wait, GP104.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Pascal.
So it's the first one we've seen in a while.
Oh. But is it an M version or is it the desktop version?
That's the good question.
Oh, okay. So we don't know.
And they
think
say
that
it's going to be
they're
separate.
actually not going to have a separate MSKU. Well, sort of MSKU. I mean, they're going to be using the same dies. They're just going to probably clock it down and do some adjustments with voltage and whatnot to get those regular GP104s to work in a mobile environment without breaking the bank when it comes to TDPs and power draw.
Well, given how much flexibility they have, like with the overclocking tuner thing and adjusting, voltages and frequencies and everything, I would imagine that, yeah, they just kind of scoot everything down. See what you can get out of it on the lower end, and it'd probably work just fine. I mean, if you have,
And you don't have to worry about an MSKU.
yeah. I mean, if you have that much granularity, then you don't really, you don't need a separate SKU. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
just think of this thing running at 1 gigahertz is going to just outstrip any other mobile chip out there, and probably run at 50 to 75 watt TDPs, which for gaming laptops is acceptable.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do that thing where in the gaming machines, like, how they always overdo the VRAM? Like, so these are already like 8 gig. So what are they going to do?
16.
They're gonna do like 16
You got
gigs.
16 gigs of DDR2.
DDR2. Yeah.
The Alienware 11X with 32 gigabytes of GDDR5X.
Yeah. It's like, how much system RAM does it have? 16 gig.
What's the screen resolution? 1600 by 900.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
You could totally see that being a thing. Alrighty.
Well, that's you up next.
That's me up next. I gotta open up. I gotta open the link and the thing with the thing. Come on,
Corsair
Link.
Neutron XT1.
You can do it.
Is it
Open up the
XT1
link.
or XTI?
XTI from.
Was it
from-
XTI?
Yeah, I believe it's XTI.
Isn't that a trim package for a Volkswagen?
No, STI is a Subaru thing.
Oh, okay. Wait, isn't STI? No, I'm wrong.
That's
No, it's STD.
okay.
No. Okay, so the deal with this is they're trying to up. Oh, that's the one prop I forgot to grab when everything went kaboom earlier.
Quick, grab it now and see if it breaks again.
No, I will not get up from this chair.
You stay put, Alan.
I will stay right here. So what they're going for is the big tagline I've seen in this release was they wanted more performance consistency compared to the prior Neutron XT. I think it was just XT. Yeah, which we looked at a couple of years back, actually, a year and a half ago.
Is it using the same controller?
It is a newer version, I believe. I looked at this earlier, but I have forgotten. And actually, I do need to update. Scott's article because just a little bit ago, before the podcast, Corsair actually sent us another note saying that they're also going to have a 2 terabyte version. So you will have 240, 480, 960, and 2 terabyte. And I've already reached out to him because we're probably going to look at it because we just happen to have, developed testing recently that specifically looks at performance consistency with a fine-tooth comb. So
Nice.
I have liberated the old Neutron XT that was, I think, in some external USB thing and all banged up from usage all around the office. So I'm gonna
The one with the half worn off label.
Yeah, actually, it's the one with the half worn off label. We were still trying to figure out what the heck wore that label so badly. But anyway, so we've got that
Friction.
one. Yeah. But with what?
We won't say.
It's not me.
It's a personal question.
Not my friction. My friction in testing SSDs goes on the inside,
Let's just say,
not
okay.
the outside.
Let's just say I found that SSD
2.5
in the bathroom,
millimeter.
and I just left it.
Yeah, you just left it there. All right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it should be more consistent in its performance. Should probably be a little bit faster overall. I do know it's like a quad-core version of a SSD controller in their newer version of the Phison S10, I believe. That's a quad-core. I'm not sure if they're saying expanded cache. Maybe that's the only thing that addresses the performance consistency thing, because I thought the Phison S10 was a quad-core the whole time. I would imagine they've made other tweaks to that S10 in addition to just the expanded cache over the past 2 years since it's been
And this is
2
still
years.
SATA 6 gigabit, right?
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
just kind of just tweaking and refining on the
Yeah, because I mean,
already maxed out bus.
you can still get more out of SATA 6 gigabit when it comes to random access and performance consistency on random writes, especially as evidence.
Is it unrealistic that I want 500 megabytes per second on every single category when I run Crystal Disk Mark?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they're getting kind of close. You're not going to see it on QDepth 1. Because and the reason you don't see you will never see it on QDepth 1 maxing is because there's actually a turnaround time even for the benchmark to run. It issues the command, everything has to line up through the kernel to get to the SSD, then it does the IO, returns it back to the kernel, and then it has to go back all the way back through all those things that cause more latency with SATA than you get for NVMe, PCIe, right?
So what you're saying is that the operating system itself is yet another hurdle in my quest for the ultimate SSD experience.
Yeah, but that's kind of
Have a operating system custom written for SSD performance.
well, that's
On
kind
SATA
of
6, rather than just going to M.2.
yeah. Well, yeah.
But can I run 4 M.2 drives in a RAID 0?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should look into that.
Although there was only one laptop that we saw doing that so far, and there are no desktop parts. The limit's 3.
I thought the MSI Vortex, when I originally wrote my news post on it, had 4 M.2 drives, and it actually had 2. And I was really excited for a short time, but
Oh, was it just I thought
it was 2, and then the model number of the drive, I think they called it the dual something or other, or the 2X.
okay. So the potential 4 drive thing was actually just kind of an error.
Yeah, it was an
Okay,
error,
okay.
and
I feel
the
better
press
now.
release had it written that way, but yeah, it only had 2 M.2 slots, I believe.
I feel better now because I spent a good 20 minutes researching Z170 chipset internals, trying to figure out okay, what variant of Z170 are they possibly putting on this that has enough?
The one where
lanes?
Sebastian didn't do enough research and just added something and didn't correct it before I published the article.
This is me giving you a nuggie over the internet. Okay. All right. Okay, so good. I'm glad that was kind of cleared up. But yeah, anytime QDepth 1 benches, like there's other stuff that has to wait. Anytime you go higher than QDepth 1, you always have a couple of IOs, waiting in the wings. So at least at least one of them is going to be serviced. And then, that little gap you get between the IOs, well, if you have two going in parallel, there's, less of that gap that's noticeable, right? So yeah, QD1, there's always just going to kind of be like not perfect. Although Samsung SSDs, specifically like 850 EVO, have like really, really damn good QDepth 1 performance even. But it's still not going to saturate. You're not going to get like 500 meg per second QDepth 1.
It's all firmware optimizations, man. Get that turnaround going faster. And
Yeah.
Software.
Yeah. I mean, for random writes, you can get away with stuff like being serviced quicker because when you write to an SSD, it can worry about where to put the stuff after it's acknowledged it from the OS. But when it comes to reads, it actually has to look up, in the flash translation layer, it has to look up, okay, where on the flash is that stuff? It actually has to do like a database lookup internally, find the stuff, read it from the flash, and turn around and give it to the OS. All that stuff has to happen before the IO is done. So like read IOs are always going to take longer than like write IOs generally if the SSD is behaving. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole.
Moving
How about
along,
something
Jeremy.
really bizarre?
Do what?
Well, probably the most bizarre thing to come out of Computex this year was the old backpack computer.
Yes.
No. Yes. No.
Well, it was one of the strangest things. And I think
Okay.
we've spotted the motherboard that's going to be in that.
Holy crap.
So not only
Speaking
is it,
of full-size GTX 1070s in
yeah,
notebooks,
these low-power mobile GTX 1070s, well, guess what's on the left-hand side of that?
The output ports on that does kind of make it look like a laptop. Well, I guess not. Well, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
It does.
Could be, but
That's pretty beefy for a laptop because those are multiple height USBs and stuff like that.
yeah, and stuff at the middle of the backplate is usually pretty verboten on laptops.
Yeah, but that's what, MSATA? Or is that M.2 in the middle? That's MSATA.
That looks that looks like MSATA.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
So it could well be a laptop motherboard, but it also could be this crazy backpack VR computer.
Oh yeah.
one of the
There's no reason
reports
for it
for
not
this
to
said
be.
it was destined for a internet cafe machine, but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because why would you need it to be so self-contained if it was a PC?
And- Well, it may end up there, but you won't only end up there.
Right. I look at this and just see console written all over it. Like it could be a
Also
backpack
true.
PC, but think about, we've heard rumors about the PlayStation 4K version, the 4.5.
Yeah.
And think about what you could do with a 1070 versus what they have currently, which are greater than APU level graphics, but not quite full size, like discrete level graphics.
No, it's essentially
The power connector is
what?
also very weird.
360. It's like R7 360 graphics or R7 or R9 370. Anyway,
Huh.
in the P4, PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving along.
All right. Moving right along.
Well, actually, one last thing. The last time I saw a setup that was like that was when 3DFX tried to sell their Voodoo 3 as a motherboard compatible
Oh god.
graphics chip. That was a unique board, to say the least.
What CPU did it take? Was it like
It was a
AMD
Pentium
K62
3.
era or
Slock it.
No, it was a socketed socket 370
okay?
Pentium 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
so. That was old.
It is old. It's 2000, 2001.
But yeah,
All right.
moving along, if you've got a tab A but you don't have a slot B, what do you do, Al?
So, yeah. Okay. So, SSD 750 series has this actually SFF 8653 or something. I forgot the number. But that's the reason they renamed it to U.2, which is actually this cable. So you've got that connector that goes into the SSD at one end, which looks like a really funky SATA cable and power cable together, but it's actually like 4 lanes of PCIe and power and a bunch of other stuff. And at the other end, you have, if you know what a mini SAS HD connector is, it's just kind of like this really blocky square looking thing. And you have to have either a HyperKit, which is an adapter that goes to M.2 that comes with Asus motherboards or some equivalent for your other manufacturer. You have to have that to adapt the U.2 end to M.2 to actually get to your motherboard. Or if you have a recent motherboard that happens to have U.2 built in, more power to you. But that's kind of rare. Intel was hoping this would not be so rare a year and a half after they launched the SSD 750. So they finally kind of capitulating, and they are making this guy, which is, U.2 at one end, and it goes straight into an M.2 2280 PCB just to plug in, to that spot on your board. So what they're going to do is add a new SKU sometime within the coming couple of months, I guess. They told me the pricing is going to be the same. It'll just be like another product, and it'll just have the other cable coming with it, so you get to choose. But it's not on the market yet. I've been looking. I asked them about it. They said it's coming soon. So that's that thing. And then what's next?
Do you have the toy?
Just
Too
for
bad
you.
Ken's not there, so you can, shock him.
Just for you. So there's this thing that Intel's doing this backpack giveaway. Well, it was a backpack kind of thing. Ryan did a video on it. They're doing a giveaway at PAX Prime. They're going to have 12 system builders build systems with 6950Xs, which are the super, high expensive 10 core
$1,700.
Intel CPU. And SSD 750, which I think is funny. They're probably including like the 400 gig SSD 750, which is probably like, $400 or something. It's like, this NVMe PCIe enterprise class SSD that's been kind of like retuned for consumer is, a fifth the price of the CPU that they're giving away. I don't know. Maybe they did the 1.2 terabyte ones. I don't know. Anyway, so to promote that, they kind of gave reviewers and I guess some YouTubers and some other people this backpack full of goodies, and the idea is that they're going to kind of rough it or something. I don't know. They're going to go out to PAX to watch the, competition of these 12 top tier system builders.
Did it come with antibiotics?
No, it came with like a knife and like a flashlight and like this lighter.
That's going to be interesting PAX.
That's actually like, it does kind of cool things like, yeah, it causes microphones to do really bad things. It's basically a taser style lighter. I can't imagine what voltage it has to produce in order to get a full 1/4 inch arc like that so cleanly. It is a pretty cool lighter though.
You've got 10 fingers.
Yeah, I am not.
Sacrifice one.
I am not. Ryan asked me earlier before he left. He's like, "What happens if I stick my finger in there?" He didn't do it, thank goodness. But I'm
You
like,
get a burn.
He was like, "Will it catch it on fire? Will it shock me? Will it do this? Will it do that?" And I just answered yes. I just said yes to the choices. It probably does all of them at the same time. Anyway, so keep an eye out.
Swiss Army knife of lighters.
Yeah, there was like one of those multi-tool knives in the box and stuff like that. It was like a PR company trying to make something snazzy. It was the same kind of deal as, what was it? The gaming system one? What was the name of that thing? The Intel something gaming box, the really generic one, that happened last time. And then the time before that was that hexagonal shaped like cargo container, the thing that popped out the top.
Opened up.
Yeah, so it's just like another one of those things, but this time you know,
And with profit margins like Intel has, you can do some things.
yeah. But I mean,
You really can.
giving away 12 systems that have just the CPU alone worth $1,700 at PAX is, you know, pretty cool thing. So that's probably why they probably laid off all those people so they can afford, you know, they can afford those system giveaway stuff. Speaking of giveaways, we're not done with giveaways.
NVIDIA's giving away $100,000, so come on.
That's a lot more than that. Are they really giving away $100,000 worth of stuff?
That's what they say.
Let's look at that. All right.
Message. Get on the Twitters and message NVIDIA with the hashtag GameReady. And you can now win during E3.
So
there's 5 chances to win.
Yeah, so they're doing it during the keynotes. So you tweet those things during the keynotes and you're entered, I guess. Right?
And some rude words if I know our followers.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But it's not too bad because there's 50 GTX 1080s, which unfortunately you cannot all SLI together, so just try and win one of them. Maybe 2 at tops.
You might need a bigger bridge.
London said that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Up to $3,500 Steam gift cards, and what they're referring to is an ultimate gaming PC battleship, which I really hope is in a certain case that was sort of shown off recently, which looks exactly like the ship and is just amusing.
Huh.
I bet you it's going to have a 1080 in it. Maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, it might even have Intel's new processor in it. We don't know. But yeah, if you're going to watch those keynotes anyways, get on the twatters and see if you can win yourself some stuff. And seeing as how we're the ones that told you about it, you know, you might want to think about shipping some Josh and Sebastian in my way. Alan Ryan, they've already got enough.
Yeah, they probably got enough. All right,
Just
Just suggesting. But we are just about there.
Is that the end of all the things?
The things, yeah.
Things we made it. Stuff didn't crash. I shouldn't even say the C word.
Yeah, you don't say that sort of stuff. Make a pick.
Not even gonna say the C word. Well, I'm not first, my friend.
Well, no, but you still don't have one.
I do have one. I just haven't typed it into the thing.
I like the excuse.
So
I, on the other hand, did.
I stuck it in there. I stuck it in there so you can put the thing in the chat because I know you like to put the things in the chat.
I try. It's fun while I'm talking.
All right. So here you go. Jeremy's
I picked early because I beat Josh to this.
Uh-oh.
Good Old Games. We have talked about these guys before, and they're currently having a really good sale. But the reason you want to go over to Good Old Games right now is because if you log into them while they're having the summer sale, you get a free copy of System Shock 2. And if you haven't heard us talking about System Shock 2, you haven't watched enough podcasts, go back to pcper.com/podcast and watch the old ones. Or you're old enough that you've played it like Josh and I have, and you realize that it's not going to be as pretty as it used to be, but it's still going to be every bit as terrifying when
the monkeys.
She flips that ship over and everything is upside down, and you feel lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Are these guys the ones doing the thing where your Steam syncs over and no?
That is correct.
Oh, that is them. Okay. So yeah, you should visit them for additional reasons.
And there is huge chunks of things at ridiculous discounts right now.
Yeah, so you know, you can get DRM-free versions of all the stuff that you bought on Steam and haven't played yet.
Get Free Space 2 from them.
Yeah.
Can. Original System Shock. Also, The Witcher for significantly cheaper than you find it on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of things to look for.
All right.
But Al, you have a pick?
No, it's Josh next.
Me?
For some reason, I'm next on the list, but it's actually Josh.
Okay, well, Josh, tell us about what we should wait for.
I think there was something that we forgot to talk about or didn't put in. It looks like AMD and Intel are postponing their launches of their next generation products, with the Kaby Lake and Zen, respectively. until Q1 of 2017. So for those who just really need a CPU upgrade and they don't want to wait another 9 months or whatever, finally the i7 6700Ks are at a point where you can buy one, and at MSRP, 344 or something. If you keep your close watch out, you'll see them go down to 329 with specials. But from what we know, Kaby Lake is going to be a minimal upgrade at most. They are apparently adding 4 PCIe 3.0 lanes to the design. So big numbers there, buddy.
Yeah.
So you don't need to hold off on upgrading if you really need to. Just do it.
All right. Cool. Let's see. Me next. I gotta find the tab. All right.
These guys are back.
What? What you talking
Radio
about?
Shack's back.
Oh, yeah.
Shack.
Yeah, so, you know, I kind of like archival kind of stuff. And there is a place on the internet, RadioShackCatalogs.com, where if you want to happen to look at, say, the 1939 Radio Shack catalog. I really need a much bigger version there. Yeah, if you want to look at 1939's Radio Shack catalog, you can totally do that.
Ooh.
Oh, and this computer is
Inglorious HD.
this computer is not liking the touchscreen. All right, there we go. You can get
Infinite rejection circuit.
Yeah, you can get the Holocrafter dual diversity receiver, Sebastian. How about that? Right there, buddy. Just imagine the audio quality of infinite adjacent channel rejection.
So your left channel rejects the right channel, the right channel rejects the left channel.
It is
audio bliss.
It is infinite. There are 2 stages of RF amplification in each receiving section. There are 25 tubes.
Infinite 0 decibel output.
25 tubes, my friend. My goodness.
That's
and
ridiculous.
that
What does someone do with 25 tubes?
and those 25 tubes give you an
Between
audio
and the tubes.
They give you an audio amplifier output of 10 watts.
but what watts they are.
Oh, but they are just amazing watts, and that
Well, 39
Handcrafted
in 1939 is
artisanal
$300.
yeah, that's $300.
And
Somebody
$500.
quick,
That's,
somebody do, and the speaker cabinet is $500. Quick, somebody do
that's like
inflation.
$10,000 easy. Easy.
So what we're learning here is that, you know, that audiophile stuff that's super expensive, and you know, although back then it probably actually did sound better. Like, I hate to say it, but the $10,000 thing probably did definitely sound better.
And the Victriola?
Yeah.
Okay, what year was the tube radio?
Was the tube radio like invented?
No,
Like,
that one that
did
you
it
were
come out-
showing us.
Oh no, this is a 1939 catalog.
1939.
I think
okay,
the
yeah.
person was
How
right.
much money?
You need to use the old-timey radio voice
well,
to announce the prices. Only $300.
Well, the dual diversity amp was $300, and the speaker cabinet was $500.
Let's see.
Amaze your
Okay,
friends, amaze your family.
1939's
With this speaker
$300
cabinet.
Yeah.
is worth, according to the inflation calculator, $5,163.91
For the $300.
for the $300.
So you'd spend $5,000, and you'd spend then like another $8,000 or $9,000 for the speaker cabinet.
8,606.
And this
for the
is
speaker
like
cabinet.
this is like on page 2 of the 1939 Radio Shack catalog, which was their first catalog. So
Do they have the 1990 Radio Shack catalog?
and you can buy this entire page for $9.99.
you want
999.
you want 1990?
I mean, that's the one that I remember.
All right, 1990.
90, 91,
There's
that was my-
colors and computers and stuff on the front of that thing. Oh, and look at that speaker, and look at that cell phone. Oh, where'd I go? I just went to order like a paste soldering station. Oh man, check out the phone. Wow. Oh, it's thinking.
Realistic.
Yeah, I remember realistic.
It's,
Oh,
it's,
realistic.
it's like
realistic
it's
speakers.
it's like the first BlackBerry. No,
Oh,
it's
you
just
see
like
the
a radio.
look at those speakers right to the left. They're
Yeah.
the classic metal body realistic speakers that they rebranded like Optimum. I've got a pair of those. They are acting as a rear surround for Optimus.
Optimus.
Optimus. Yes, Optimus speakers.
Archer.
That's your Tandy computer.
Archer is #1 in sales of TV, FM, and CB antennas. All right. Interesting. Oh, and the prices
Cool.
are way lower on what? Oh wait, that's credit.
Oh, they took Discover back then.
They show you your monthly payment for different balances on the credit card. There's something you don't see these days. Here's how much this thing's gonna cost you. Now they
What,
just
the
don't
interest rates they're charging?
no, just the minimum payment. I think they were even then they were smart enough not to show you your interest rate that you were gonna get. Actually, I don't see an interest rate anywhere on there. Minimum monthly payment on balance is over $1,000. Well, it's good because too bad they didn't have those credit cards back in 1939, so you can actually buy those things. Then you'd have to like just walk into the bank and just get a signature loan for like $10,000 because you could actually do that with like no credit checks because there weren't credit checks either. The bank guy
How
would just,
well did you know the loan manager?
Yeah. If you brought him sweet apple pie from the missus at home,
Yeah.
to sweeten
let
him
your
up.
son date my daughter. for a
Sweeten
couple
him
of
up,
days,
brother.
so.
You should bring Billy Joe down. Oh man. All right. What
Last
do we
but
got?
not least, we got Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastiano.
Okay, so if you're like me, you absolutely
I'm not
never
like you.
ever use the Windows install that came with your computer. So if you get a new laptop or desktop, I always blow it away and clean install. And since Windows 8, one of the few good things about Windows 8 when it came out, Microsoft came up with their own installation media site. And they have done this again with 10. I have the links for both that'll be in the show notes because they're actually slightly different. But the great thing about this is you pick your version, it creates a USB install drive for you. Just put in a drive in your computer, it'll erase it. So be careful about which drive you're pointing it to. But when you're
makes it
done, you
bootable as
have
well?
a bootable USB stick. And the great thing about it is as long as you are installing the same version that came with your system, so if it's a Windows 8 machine, get the Windows 8 one. If it's a Windows 10 machine, get the Windows 10 one. You don't have to enter any product keys because the product key is built into the motherboard firmware
On an OEM system.
on an OEM system. So say, like, I've done this with every one of the laptops I've had in the house recently, and it also works with desktops. I've done this with like Acer, Lenovo, Dell. It doesn't matter which one. If it's a Windows 8 or Windows 10 machine, you put this in, you boot it up, and as long as you're using the right version, it does not ask for a product key, and it installs pre-activated. So
Is that going to apply for Windows 10 after their cutoff, or do you have to do it before the cutoff that's coming up?
it should be after the cutoff because this is just their recovery disk image ISO file. It's a generic image.
But I mean, if you have like a Windows 7 system or something,
Oh yeah, you won't be able to do this then.
right? But if you do it now on a Windows
You
7
would just
OEM
need your
system,
product key.
yeah, like it
will.
It either might work, it might just work if it's built into the BIOS or something. If it has the cert in
Oh,
there.
no, it will
or whatever.
work.
Oh well,
No, because I did the Windows 10 upgrade. It was the first and only upgrade install I've done on purpose because it was the only choice you had. Since then, they changed it so they actually gave me a Windows 10 product key. Now, it's tied to my Windows 7 key. My Windows 7 key is no longer valid, but I could do a clean install with that new key that they gave me.
and how did you have to ask them for that key?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, because
I'm sure that I've linked to it in the past. I did a little quick news post on doing it, but it does work. So yeah, if you've got a clean Windows 10 install, this is going to back it up the proper way. You got a system restore disk.
So what I've been doing around my place, like I have like a few old laptops just kind of like sitting on a shelf that were, just came with Windows on them. And I have blown all of them away, restored their system image, and then did like the Windows 10 upgrade on them and just let it do it. And then when that comes up in Windows 10, it should activate that like piece of hardware under Windows 10. Like, it didn't ask me for anything; it just worked, right? So I think once you get to that point, then you can do a blow away clean install Windows 10, and I think it's like the data is still saved.
Yeah,
with
like Jeremy
Microsoft.
was saying, I think at that point you have registered your product key with Windows 10.
Yeah,
Yep.
So
then
now
you
you
plug
can do a
Microsoft
clean
and
Windows
they'll
10
give
install
you a
with
way
that.
to find the key.
yeah, but like you shouldn't need a key anymore, supposedly for Windows 10 after that point, right? Like it should just work magically somehow without typing in a key.
I think it depends on the age of the system.
Yeah.
And how many upgrades you've done, and
Yep.
whether you switch your video card 5 times a day.
Or just use Ubuntu and you don't have to worry about product keys at all.
Well, that's true. That's
It's
true.
true.
The thing will just work. Yeah.
So some of us like CentOS.
Another thing I do recommend for if you're gonna use the Microsoft, like their download tool now button on the Windows 10 page, you can tell that tool to download an ISO, as opposed
That's the link that I have in
to
my
yeah.
pick. The download Windows 10 disk image ISO file link.
Oh, it's a separate. Well, no, I think they.
They have a page dedicated to this. You just pick the edition, so you can do single language, Windows 10, whatever.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
so nice when you're imaging because you can get a Windows 10 ISO.
But I thought they have replaced it so that you have to download the tool either way, even if you want to download the ISO. I think that has changed recently.
It is a tool, and it actually has the same exact file name as the Windows 8.1 recovery tool.
Right.
So when I downloaded them both earlier, I got
Oh.
one, and the other one was just a copy of. But I opened them up, and they're different because one opens up to a Windows 10 recovery environment, and the other one opens up to a Windows 8 recovery creation environment.
Right. And you can use just the tool to do the upgrade, or you can tell it.
Or actually this specific one has only two options. One is to download an ISO, I believe, and the other one is to create a USB stick.
Oh, cool.
So it's like a dedicated utility just for creating recovery media.
Yep. The for those of you that have like M.2, NVMe, stuff like that, I guess use caution because I have seen mixed results when you try to use that tool to make the USB installer or even the Microsoft Media Creation tool thing. You don't really get a choice or a say in the matter if you're going to do UEFI or MBR style booting. And it has to be UEFI if you want to boot or install and boot from NVMe devices. So what we did at the office is we downloaded the ISO, and then I used Rufus to make the keys. And Rufus, you can choose, what kind of formatting. And we put it on 2 different USB keys. So we just have 2 keys. One's labeled UEFI, one's labeled MBR for the old school stuff. Just kind of a handy note that might save your butts out there. It does take up 2 USB keys, but it's kind of necessary if you want to be able to go both ways. Anyway, is that all of the picks?
It is
All right.
of this show.
Oh,
Which for me is not so bad because even with the delay, it's not obnoxiously late. But I have a feeling that for some other people,
It is.
might be getting just a wee bit past their children's bedtime.
just a
And
little.
way past theirs. So, without further ado, I think we should draw the 403rd podcast of the PC Perspective podcast to an end before everything once again falls into blackness and you get to watch our splash screen for a long while. So, if you want to ever watch some of the old episodes, or if you gave up on us earlier today and are just finishing it right now, I thank you for visiting pcper.com/podcast. You can follow all of us on Twitter if you are that sort of strange individual that would want to follow Ryan
Masochist.
Trout, PC Per, Jeremy Hellstrom, Josh D. Walrath.
D. Walrath, yeah.
I remember. Sebastian Peak
Yep.
and Al.
Oh, you're going.
Just
You're
Malventano, aren't you?
totally throwing it off. You're just going.
You're Malventano,
you're
aren't
naming
you?
all the people. You're supposed to
Yeah.
name.
That's the twatters. They follow you everywhere.
All right, there's the Josh, and there's the Sebastian, yeah, and then there's the me, and then there's the Jeremy.
Yeah, but with that, and that was just the Twitter feeds because the final good night comes. So I am Jeremy Hellstrom.
And I am Joshua Walrath.
And I'm Allyn Malventano.
I'm Sebastian Peak.
And Howard
And join
Cosell
us
is
for
not
next
appearing on this
episode.
episode. We are very sorry. Thank you for watching. Next up, Brillo Cream.
If you enjoyed this content, consider supporting in-depth technical content by contributing at patreon.com/PCPer.